Are you the person who avoids conflict at all costs? Do you find yourself constantly saying yes, even when you want to say no? Being nice is great until it starts working against you. From partners who sugarcoat the truth to leaders who avoid the tough decisions, we're going to explore why too much kindness might be holding you back at work, in your relationship, and in life. Today on Off the Couch. And welcome to Off the Couch, where psychology meets everyday life. I'm Dr. Greg Cason, psychologist, here with Brian Gomez, producer.
Happy Monday, you guys. Sorry.
Hey, Brian. And also Noah's on the board today. Hi, Noah.
Hello.
Hey, we're talking about something really interesting to me, which is, are you too nice? I actually saw this article or several articles in Psychology Today. And we're going to actually explore the themes that were in the article, as well as talk about some stuff that wasn't in the article. But we're going to address 5 nice things that partners do that lead to trouble in relationships. We're going to talk about the problem with sugarcoating things and how to be more direct, and why your nice boss actually is doing a disservice to you. And bottom, why the nicest people may not be the happiest people. So this has personal meaning to me because I just want to start off talking about something. When I was in 7th grade, my best friend, I won't say his name, but it rhymes with Wayne, and he was my best friend at the time in school, and he came to me one day and he told me that he didn't want to be friends with me anymore. He said I was ruining his popularity. And I was devastated by this. I really was. And I really had, to me, few friends. And, I really had a tough time in school, middle school. It was just not my finest hour. And I sent away for a record in the back of a Boys Life magazine. Boys Life magazine, for those of you who don't know, it's when you're a member of the Cub Scouts or Weeblos or Boy Scouts. It's a magazine for people in Cub Scouts, basically, I think. And it just has scouting stuff. But in the back, they had some ads. And one was a record of how to make friends. And so I saved up my pennies and I sent away for this record. And I kept it hidden. It was so strange. It was like getting porn. But when you're in 7th grade, it was just a record album of how to make friends. And I realized how embarrassing this was. But basically, the record was how to be nice to people, how to make friends, like how to listen to them, how to look them in the eye, how to talk to people. And I actually benefited from this album. I actually started to talk to people differently and hung out with people and started to make friends. And then 8th grade really turned things around for me. And then in high school, I had a really good experience. So oddly, that few dollars or dollar, I don't know how much the record was now, it was a long time ago, actually ended up being something good. But what I had to learn were these skills about being nice. So I have a conflicted relationship with being too nice, just because at one time being nice actually helped me a great deal and helped me to learn a lot of people. Brian, do you think I'm too nice?
I feel like you have your moments where I'm having to push you to not be so nice or push you to say no to certain things.
What's an example?
When somebody asks you to go to dinner and you're already tired and exhausted from work and you're like, oh, yeah. Or when you're taking on an extra client because you feel guilty and that you feel like you have to help them.
Okay, so let's talk about that. But this is part of the problem with me, is because like with dinner, it's more like, is this an opportunity to see this person that I won't be able to see this person another time? So I do this kind of calculation in my head. And often I realize if I go out, once I'm out, I'll be okay. But before I go out, I don't really want to go out. So yeah, you're right. I could always listen to my feelings, but sometimes I override my feelings knowing things will be okay. Regarding clients, sometimes I'll have a full caseload and they'll call me up and I just really I connect with what they're trying to do, so I want to help them. But you're right. Sometimes that's led me to take on too many clients at sometimes. And I don't think I'm in that spot right now.
No, but it does happen. I feel like we all go through it too.
Right. And it's all because I want to help people, and that's a different thing altogether. I struggle because I don't think I actually think I worry about me being too nice sometimes, and I more worry about me being kind of not so nice sometimes. I more worry about that. I'm being kind of a dick.
I was going to ask you, do you think you worry too much about that to where you become too nice?
Probably I override because I worry about sometimes being the dick. And I could talk about that forever, but that's not what we're talking about, being too nice here. So, but I think that, sometimes I have this little bit of a relationship with you. What do you think? How are you? Are you too nice?
No. I've learned to keep people at a distance until I feel comfortable enough to make a true, real connection with somebody that I know that my niceness will not be taken for granted. Like if I move into a new apartment complex, I'm not that friendly, overly kind neighbor that wants to say hi and have a conversation with everybody. I'm pleasant and I'm nice, but I'm not going to be like, you're my new best friend. No, that's how issues start. That's how I look at it. You're not going to love everybody that you instantly meet, so I like to keep everybody at a distance.
No, that's interesting because I have a rule, and I teach clients this: just be light and polite. I always try to just say hello and just be polite, but I don't try to get deep, especially with new people or strangers or anything, especially at a party and stuff. I try to be oh, hello, say hello, and
all you have to do is be
period.
Pleasant,
Period. Yeah, I don't go deep. What about you, Noah? Too nice? Not nice enough?
I think
right.
I'm sort of in the same boat as Brian, where I believe that a friend to all is a friend to none. And if you're just super overly outgoing to every person that you meet, that can come off as disingenuous. However, I do try and be pleasant, and I get more brutally honest and a little ruder to people the more I get close to them.
Me too.
And the more comfortable I get with them, the more comfortable I feel being calling people out on stuff.
Yes. That is it. Sometimes as we get closer, we become a little bit more of a dick than we would if we are with a stranger. Strangers could think we're really sweet. Then, something else could come up. No?
Yeah.
See, I think and we're going to talk about this as we go on, but there is actually a dynamic between extroversion, which I think I am an extrovert. About 2/3 of people are extroverts, and being agreeable, which I also find myself to be. Being agreeable means you go along, like you can see the good, and I can often see the good in other people, and I can agree with things. Like I can, I'll look for commonality and understanding. If they present a concept, I may even disagree with it, but I'll try to be okay about it. I was talking earlier, but I had a friend who I disagreed with a lot this last weekend, and I just felt free to just every time just disagree every single time something came up. But I think that's built on a strong foundation that you can do things like that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I'm not that way, but yeah.
So being nice is generally considered a positive trait. When we talk to somebody, we say how nice they are, but excessive niceness can come at a cost. And this is true in relationships. So let's talk about the 5 nice things partners do that cause problems. Do you guys have any idea what those could be?
Depends on what situation you're talking about.
I mean, there are probably way more than 5.
Yeah. I mean, it could be anything at that point.
Yeah, well, let's just talk. I mean, when I think of a partner, I think the proverbial, do I look fat in this dress? And then you're kind of stuck. Like, what do you say? Yeah, that dress is not flattering. I prefer you in this other outfit. Or, yeah, you do. Well, actually, that answer would always be wrong. You do. Even if they don't. Even if they do. Yeah.
I would just say that I hate that dress.
I hate that.
They look fat.
Good,
but
Brian.
I hate that dress.
What a great answer.
I hate that color, just something to make the dress not be worn.
Okay. Point to Brian there, because I think that's a good solution. yeah, I hate that dress. And it's not. I prefer you in this other. It's way more attractive on you, or something.
Yeah, because that one can be a confidence killer, like about appearance or anything.
Yeah,
like that, where you got to
yeah.
be careful with how you say something.
But that's not one of the 5 nice things. That's one of the 5 mean things, and I think we just solved that one. But nonetheless, let's go with the 5 nice things. Number 1, trying to cheer you up. This is a peeve of mine. When people are suffering, when they've had a bad day at work, when they really are talking about things that are going on for them, and they come home and say, honey, there's this person at work, or my boss did this and this. And then they feel bad or sad, and then the partner tries to cheer them up. Come on, we'll have a good night. Things will be good. Do you like that when someone does that to you?
No, I don't even like when people motivate me at the gym, or that positive reinforcement. It pisses me off. It infuriates me. So for me, I need you to just listen, agree, and help me soothe, but don't try to change how I'm feeling about it,
Yeah, I think in fact you just hit the nail on the head. I think that when trying to cheer someone up can be invalidating, so it can actually make them feel worse, not better, worse, because it could make them feel like they're not entitled to the feelings that they're having at that moment.
Yeah, or makes you feel like it's not that big of a deal,
Oh, yeah, it's not that big of a deal. Plus, this is the partner who will often be monitoring your mood, like watching you, saying, oh, honey, are you feeling sad? Oh, here, let me do something. Are you doing this or that? They may even ask you a question like, are you mad at me? Didn't I do that to you?
Oh, yeah.
That's because I didn't want a problem in the show.
No.
I'm like, okay, whatever's going on, we need to deal with this.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So it can be exhausting to have someone monitor your mood. Sometimes you just got to be free to have a bad mood. Like, we're all going to be okay having a bad mood.
And it's normal to have a bad moment, I hate when people try to tell you not to react that way or something. Then it's like, dude, just let me be mad or upset for this moment. I'll get over it, but I need to feel this out.
No, and in fact, if you want to be helpful, do you know what you do, Noah? Well, you say, oh, what's going on? And there's my boss at work was a real a-hole today, did X, Y, and Z. What would be the best response to that, based on what we've said?
I think just active listening and kind of validating those feelings, as opposed to trying to invalidate them by saying, oh, it's not that bad, or, you'll have a better day tomorrow. Just
good.
Listening.
Very good. I can understand why you feel that way. I can understand it. Or, wow, if you want to go there, you can be like, God, that sucks. I'm sorry that person did that. And don't try to fix it. Just listen.
I'm one that if I hear an issue that somebody's venting to me, I usually want to fix it.
I know.
Which sucks
because it ends up invalidating them. What you want them to do is they can ask you if they want a solution from you. They are free to do that. They are free to go, what do you think I should do in this situation? In which case the door is open. You can tell them.
Okay, so don't try to fix it unless the door opens.
Unless the door is open. You don't want to pound on the door. Say, I have a solution for you. And they're like, I'm not really ready for a solution here. I just want to vent. But when instead of trying to cheer someone up, just listen to them. Just listen. Allow them to be. Number 2, avoiding conflict. Who is an avoider of conflict? No? Yes? No? Okay, yeah, me neither. I go there.
I don't know. I feel like
None of us.
try to avoid it when I know it's going to come up at some point, instead of just facing it straight on.
No, I'm more like, I got to address this now so it doesn't get bigger. And sometimes that works against you too. Sometimes you need to let some things roll.
True.
So maybe that's not always a good approach, but.
Yeah, I actually dated this girl for a while who she was very adamant on she never wanted to argue. She never wanted us to get into a fight or like end a conversation on a bad term, which I was on board with for a while, but it became pretty evident that if we didn't like let those things out and argue every once in a while, then you're just keeping those feelings bottled up and never being completely honest with your partner, so it doesn't work out. And you can have healthy disagreements and arguments without them tipping over the edge. It's when you try and contain all those feelings and never let them out, that's when, you know, things get out of hand.
That is exactly right. And yeah.
Oh no, I was gonna say, and do you guys ever feel like, say, if something's being brought up at that moment where it's like, damn, another thing?
Oh, you mean they bring more than one thing
Or
up?
like,
that's
know,
always
like,
bad.
Or like
okay.
communication.
No.
It's like you want to communicate instead of waiting like 2 or 3 days because you feel a certain way, you know, and then you're like, damn, here I am again, bringing something else up, you know? Do you guys ever feel like, oh, damn, here's another talk?
Well, you don't want to have too many talks. How many talks? Well, I mean, okay, we can talk it to death. And that's exactly what the relationship will end as if you're always having those talks.
Okay, got it. No, I'm just wondering.
So, especially, you know, unless both people are into the talk, then okay. Then it's an agreement. Like, we're into it. It's part of our foreplay. We're doing a talk, another talk. But you want to pick and choose just what's important to you. The problem with avoiding conflict is it breeds resentment because you hold on to, like you were saying, you hold on to problems. And when you hold on to problems, they don't go away. They just kind of get bigger. Sometimes, though, the problems are small and we can let them go. We can physically, mentally, emotionally just let them go. We can say, you know, that person left out the pickle jar without the lid on it. I can call them up and say, you left the pickle jar on the kitchen without the lid on it. I don't know. You could also put the lid back on the jar and put it in the refrigerator. If the pickle jar tends to be left out all the time, then I would advise you actually just tell the person, today you left out the pickle jar. Oh, sorry. And if they say, I've never done that before. And well, actually you have, but you know, and I would not bring up anything else. Like I would not say you leave the cereal boxes out, you don't do the dish. I would not bring anything else in there. I would just address the pickle jar.
Okay, I'm taking notes.
Yeah, take notes. It's good. Okay, number 3, deferring to you. These are when someone says the nice things a partner does to cause a problem. When they defer to you, when you say, hey, what restaurant would you want to go to? And they say, oh, well, I'll go wherever you want. That kind of thing. Or when you say, hey, would you like to go to the park this weekend? Yeah, okay. And then you're like, okay, great. And then you find out the person didn't want to go to the park. Like, what was that? Because when they say yes, you're assuming they did want to go. So good relationships are built on mutuality and they're not one-sided. But now we're starting to see this deferring problem has always been there for a lot of people. Being too nice is not a new problem. This is an old problem. But we're seeing this more and more that some people think it's a virtue to defer to the other person. And that's not a good relationship. A good relationship will be like, hey, would you like to go to the park this weekend? You could be nice about it and say, I would love to go to the park. I mean, I would love to see you this weekend, but I really don't want to go to the park. How about we go to the beach?
I get that. Because I can feel like I don't want to go, like, say, for a hike. I'd rather just go to the beach and lay on the floor, you know?
Where I like a hike.
Yeah, like the concept of it sounds nice.
Concept is nice. So, yes, good relationships are mutual. Number 4, nice things people do that screw up relationships, telling you what you want to hear. Ooh.
Give me an example.
Well, what do you want to hear? How amazing you are. How great. Everything's fantastic.
Well, those are facts, but...
Oh.
No, I'm playing.
I don't know. Yeah, going back to the boss example, I still advise that if you believe it's true, only reflect back what you believe is true, that you say that. If you don't believe it's true, you just listen. So when that was happening, don't try to cheer someone up, just listen to them. But when you tell someone what they want to hear, it's like, and they were acting unfairly, let's say at work, don't agree when you tell them what they want to hear, and you hear that they actually did something bad, let's say that they didn't refill the copier. This is kind of a big office thing that happens. They didn't refill the copier when they were using it. And can you believe it? That Angela, just thinking to the office. Yeah, that Angela got angry at me again for not refilling the copy machine. And you're sitting there going, well, were you the last to use it? Did you? You could actually have a problem if you say to the person, yeah, she's the bad one here.
Like reinforcing their bad behavior.
You don't want to reinforce the bad behavior. So this is a real delicate situation. You would want to listen to it, and you would want to go, wow, I'm sorry she did that, and that sounds like that was really upsetting. But when the person says, I mean, why should I have to refill the copier? I'm not the secretary. It's someone else's duty. That isn't probably a helpful thing to take, an attitude to take on in an organization. So when you tell someone what they want to hear, like, yep, you're right, you're not the secretary, it's up to her to refill the copier even though you ran it empty. That limits your growth as a human being. So you want to hear from the person, yeah, that she treated you poorly, she said some bad things to you. But at the same time, it's sometimes it's nice to refill the copier when you're the last one to use it. You can just say it that way.
Even with friends, I feel like that's appropriate to kind of, if they're acting bad or, you can't support their bad behaviors or their bad choices either, You can let them know that it wasn't the best choice or decision they've made.
So you really have to, these can be tough to be in a relationship because you don't always know what's what. And number 5, this is the toughest nice things partners do to cause problems, making you the center of their world. I know, it sounds seductive, huh? I want to be raised up and put on a throne, rub my feet and make me meatloaf. That would be cool.
Well, not even, but like... you do want to feel like you're a priority in their life.
A priority,
yes,
is not the center of their world. It would be an orbiting planet, maybe.
Yes.
But not the center.
I can see that.
This is one where I like to use the example of when we're on an airplane and that we have to put on our own mask before assisting others. And I've often heard people say, I would never do that. I want to put on my child's first. But then you know what will happen. They're trying to get a mask on their child and then they lose oxygen and fall over. And the kid can't help them. So, probably is good to put it on you and then you can help your kid or the person next to you. So sometimes you need to take care of your own self in order to care for other people. But if someone is always making you the center of their world, that has a dual negative effect. It creates dependency on them, and it creates dependency on your part too. Because actually you learn to be more narcissistic in the relationship, and they learn to be more submissive. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's actually not as good of a place to be. So you want to have the person be a priority, like you said, but that you also take care of your own needs. And that you can be interdependent, which means you take care of each other, but not dependent, which means you would fall without the other person.
And I think that's where most people would want to be, but I feel like a lot of people get lost in that.
Most people
make it like one person is making the other their center of their world.
That's correct.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm just saying.
You're very quiet over there, Noah. Have you been making people the center of your world?
No, I haven't. I've just been thinking all these points, really up until point number 5, but the first 4, all the common thread is a lack of honesty, it seems like. It seems like people can't be honest with their partners about things that bother them.
Why do you think that might be?
Well, I was going to ask you why you think that might be.
Well,
I don't know. You're a psychologist.
I have a guess.
Do you think it's because they're afraid of losing their partner?
Yeah. I mean, I think that they're afraid of conflict, period. And that could lead to losing their partner, could lead to rejection. It could lead to something going on. We'll keep talking about this.
And that's why they're making their partner the center of their world.
Mm-hmm. So...
real life stuff right here. I mean, I've been there, I feel like that.
We've all been there.
Yeah, it happens.
The next thing is sugarcoating. This is over politeness. Over politeness. This is one I don't think I have a huge problem with, but you think I do?
Oh no.
Oh.
I was trying to see if
I actually
had that problem.
I actually have been given feedback in organizations that I need to wrap it in sugar a little bit more instead of being so direct. So I did appreciate that feedback, and I think that was warranted and it was helpful because I actually somebody asked me a direct question and I would give them a direct answer back. Like they had asked me directly and I would give them a direct answer back and then they would get upset. But what I was not attending to were the power dynamics. So if I was in a supervisory position, I needed to be aware that what I was saying carried a lot of weight with that person. So I needed to deliver it in a package and a little bit more of an enteric coating or some like more of a candy coating that could help it go down a bit harder. Easier. Okay, so the problem with sugarcoating is over politeness can lead to miscommunication. Why do we do it? Again, fear of conflict and a desire to please. And it results in misunderstandings, unresolved issues, and frustration.
And the people-pleasing aspect, do you think that comes from like a childhood situation?
Oh my God, we're going to talk about that. Hold your horse, because actually there's some research that points to that. So 3 types of communication. I just want to talk about that for a second. There's aggressive communication. That's where you say my needs are more important than yours. We see a lot of that these days. We see people who are like, I don't care what you do. I don't care what your needs are. I don't care what happens to you. All I care about is what I want. This is aggressive. There's also passive. They're the people who say your needs matter more than mine. These are the people who defer, who are like, I'll do whatever you want. You go to the restaurant you want, et cetera, et cetera. By the way, I have an exercise I do with couples. Because the restaurant one comes up a lot in couples therapy, oddly enough.
It comes up every single day if you're with somebody, I would say.
Yeah. Well, usually couples have more agreement, but yeah, sometimes the restaurant thing can come up where the person says, hey, like one person says, hey, let's go to a restaurant. The other person says, okay. And they go, where do you want to go? And the person who brings up I wanted to go to the restaurant says, I don't know. Where do you want to go? And then the other person says, well, I don't know. Wasn't thinking about
You're the
going
one that
out.
brought it up.
And then it goes back and forth like a ping pong match. Yeah. So I have a rule that if you suggest going to a restaurant, to have an idea of a restaurant or 2 or 3. I actually suggest that you have an idea of a restaurant you want to go to. Yeah, maybe have an idea of 3, but only present the one you want to go to the most. And then you tell your partner, I want to go to a restaurant. I want to go here. I want to go to Norm's. Mm-hmm. And your partner go, ooh, I don't like Norm's. Let's go to a different restaurant. Then the responsibility is now on your partner.
Right?
Because the partner is going to probably ping pong it back to you and say, you have to tell me a different restaurant and I shall be the judge sitting over here. Tell me a restaurant that will meet my needs. Instead, if they said no to Norm's, then they have to come up with a solution. What is the restaurant they want to go to?
Yeah. Or else I'll be like, fine, I'll eat by myself.
Well, there's that. That's, maybe that's what we would call passive aggressive.
Oh, I know. I'm very well aware.
So aggressive needs more, your needs matter, my needs matter more than you. Passive, your needs matter more than mine. And then there's assertive, which is we have equal respect for each other's needs. And assertiveness is really where it's at. That's really what we want to do, is to be able to say things. A simple formula for assertiveness is to say why you want something, say what you want, and to show respect for the other person and their desires. I always suggest you say why first. Because if you say what you want, the person starts doing a calculation and they won't even hear the why. The why is actually very important. If you say, I don't know, like, hey, look, I'm in a grocery line with you, and I'm like, and you're really in a hurry. If you ask to get in front of somebody, and then they're going to think, why do your needs matter more than mine? Da 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 da, and they might be telling you why, but you're just calculating in your head. No, that's dumb. No, you've already made your decision. But if you say why, and you say, I don't know what it is.
I'm running late to a doctor's appointment.
I'm running late to a doctor's appointment. I had no idea, and I had to get this, loaf of bread. Who knows? And so you say to the person, I'm so sorry, I have to get to a doctor's appointment, and I didn't realize. Do you mind if I go ahead of you? Say what you want, but show respect for the other person. They're going to be more likely to give it to you because
if you're nice.
Yeah.
Niceness will take you a long way.
Yes.
But some people won't be nice when they're delivering that request.
No, always be clear and concise. Use a warm and firm tone, and balance honesty with kindness. Be kind. But kindness doesn't mean kindness alone. It means being honest about what you want. Okay. And Noah, hey, your boss here at the place, is he too nice?
No, I actually think he could be a little bit nicer sometimes.
Well, good. So you have
Don't
a
let
good.
him know I said that.
You have a good boss. So why a nice boss may not be a great boss? Let's talk about that boss. A nice boss may not be a great one. Now, I was talking earlier that I needed to work on. I needed to add a little more sugar to my medicine. But here, a nice boss, maybe overly nice, might be the problem. We have like one from popular media. That's Michael Scott from The Office. He really wants to be liked, and he tries to be liked. And I don't know, his approach doesn't always come across as nice. Actually, it comes across as offensive a lot. That's the whole joke. But he really wants to be liked, and that is probably what weakens him as a boss, even though the organization runs well and he always good sales number. I mean, the whole show is like a big contradiction in itself, but that's what's so wonderful about it. So being nice may not be a great boss. So kindness is valuable, but excessive people-pleasing weakens leadership. So what do you need for leadership? Leaders, in fact, should, because I actually talk about this. Let me just talk about this really quickly. That we need both to be liked and respected when you're a leader. If you want to be liked too much, you're not going to be respected. There's an inverse relationship going on. But if you try to be respected and not liked, then people could be, they could do what you want sometimes, but then they'll try to look for ways to get out of it sometimes. So in a certain way, as a boss, you've got to find this very delicate balance of being liked and respected.
Yeah, I had a boss at Fendi who was so worried about being liked that she would cry to me sometimes, like literally crying when like another employee would like talk crazy to her because they didn't respect her.
And that's not a good thing to do, because you do want to be mindful of the hierarchy and don't lean on a subordinate for emotional
she was
support.
Coming to me, and I was a trainee at the time.
No, that's not good. But oh well.
But you can see where it's like being too nice will.
Being too nice could be a problem. Leaders, in fact, should focus on competence and delegation. So they should look for the best person and delegate things to them. And don't focus too much on being liked, like Michael Scott we talked about. Delegating responsibilities, giving them away, actually empowers your team and builds skills. So that means that's the toughest thing about being a boss. When you delegate out and you have to show them how to do it, sometimes you alone could do it much faster and better than delegating it. But the bottom line is you want to delegate it so that they can learn how to do it. And you might have to deliver some nice messages, but corrective along the way, and then you start to build that skill set in that person. Yeah, okay.
No, I mean, it makes sense. You want to be professional, not their friend.
So I talked about this agreeableness and extroversion. So there is actually a study that shows agreeable people may have lower social status. If you're too agreeable, you may have lower social status, but that's probably not only super agreeable people, but it's probably people who are not extroverted. It's probably people who are more introverted. So they just kind of go along, but they don't make their needs known.
Because?
Well, this is just the how they're kind of existing in the world. That's their personality, at least at that point. They don't want to ruffle the feathers. Highly agreeable people prioritize being liked over being respected. And we talked about that inverse relationship, that if you're want too much to be liked, you're not going to be respected. Because you won't do things as much. You won't say, someone could go, hey, will you wash my car? I mean, would you wash someone's car? I don't even wash my own car. I mean, it's like, no. Someone asked me to wash their car, I might be like, first, what a crazy ask you're asking me. What's this about?
Are your arms broken?
But the number two thing, I'd be like, what's going on? Like, whatever. But I would not say yes to that. In fact, there was a study done. This was back when I worked at the VA. And this was during the age of AIDS, when we still had not had the medications of protease inhibitors and people were dying. There was at really alarming rates. There was a study done that they found that people who answered no to a particular question, actually their immune systems did much better.
Wow.
That particular question, and it was really going toward a personality aspect. That particular question was, if a friend called me and asked me to help him move, I would say yes or no. And if they said no, they were more likely to do better immune-wise. Now, I know there are different factors. A good friend, you would be like, would they call and ask you to help? Yeah, you'd be like, okay, have pizza and beer. I'll be there. But
nobody wants to
nobody
move
wants
to begin with.
to.
Nobody wants to move themselves.
Nobody wants to
help somebody else move. I'm like, it's like asking somebody to take you to the airport here at LA.
I think that was the other question on
Oh God, no. Yeah, definitely would have been a no for me on the LA one.
So that's being too agreeable and not putting your own needs out there, because if somebody asked me to move, again, if it's a good friend, maybe I'd consider it, but I wouldn't want to do it.
Yes,
I could tell you universally, I would never say yes.
But that's interesting. I mean,
it was an old thing. Yes, I know it is, because it really goes to are we respectful of ourselves? Are we respectful? And I probably phrased the question wrong, but it was basically trying to get at, would you be willing to say no to someone because you personally didn't want to do it?
Because a lot of us, I feel like, say yes to a lot of things we don't want to do.
We do, and that could actually work against us. So it's unfortunate, people, when they get a no, but that's how it is. The best is actually to have a balance of agreeableness and assertiveness. This leads to greater success and greater well-being. But Brian brought up a really interesting concept that I found an article called about good girling. Good girling. This is I know, I hate all these concepts and terms, but this kind of made some sense to me. Good girling is a shame and trauma-based ritual that harms women. But it's not just women. let's say this was not limited to sex, at least in my observation. So good girling is a term used to describe societal expectations for women to be quiet, accommodating, and selfless. I wonder if Noah, your girlfriend, I wonder if this might be, was she this way? Was she quiet, accommodating, and selfless?
Yeah, I hope she's not listening to this, but yeah, she was a little bit.
Well, she may not be this person, but I think what they're saying is this particular trait is common in people who suffer trauma and shame. And so it's not that you could certainly have those without having a history of trauma. That's absolutely sure. But it is actually something that happens to people who are traumatized, and they learn how to navigate the world by being quiet, accommodating, and selfless. Like they can kind of worm their way through, work their way through difficult situations without like sticking out too much. This leads to self-suppression. It leads to keeping their own needs in. So this is really a problem. This is a term coined by Anna Lee Howling. I just have to give her credit. You had your term. So good girling manifests as people pleasing, exactly what we've been talking about today, apologizing excessively, and avoiding conflict. Women fear being too much. And I've heard this from women I've seen in therapy. They actually say those words. I don't want to be too much. And in my own brain, I'm like, what do you mean by too much? Like, what is that? What's too much? What is it? Because I mean, nothing bothers. I mean, I don't know. Too much?
No, I feel like they're dealing with the situation of somebody saying they're too emotional or
yes,
too sensitive.
Yes,
or
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm seeing it happen with one of my friends,
Yes, and this may, and I don't know if this is going to ring some bells here, but who knows? Good girling, they've experienced trauma such as childhood abuse, sexual assault, or intimate partner violence. So they've often experienced some kind of very serious abuse, usually to their physical body. Trauma responses include people-pleasing to avoid conflict. And over time, this behavior becomes automatic. They don't even think about it. And I look at this when I was a child, and I had a pretty difficult upbringing, and that I used to apologize all the time, and I still do it. I say I'm sorry. I like saying I'm sorry is no big deal to me. Like sorry, like you whatever. But there was a time when I think I used to say it too much, because it was just a way. I remember to avoid getting hit, you would apologize first. You didn't even know what you did. You saw the ire coming at you, and you're like, okay, what's going on? I just got to apologize and cower. Now I try to resolve things. I'm in a little bit different place now. So I identify with this, even though I'm not a girl or a woman. It's just good girling. So it becomes automatic over time. It reinforces self-doubt and shame. Psychological impacts lead more to internalized shame. So the shame builds inside of themselves, and they really do believe that they should keep themselves down. I always say guilt is sort of like we've done something wrong, and we're a bad person for having done it. And shame is taking it one next level. We've done something wrong. We're a bad person for having done it. And other people believe that too. So we have to keep ourselves down.
Sad.
Yeah. So needs and emotions are too much or a burden. And that's where I was like, oh, that's where I see it. Because sometimes I don't like to be a burden on people.
Yeah, I feel like we all struggle with feeling like a burden to even reach out to friends when that's literally what friends are for.
Yeah.
But we feel like, oh, well, they're dealing with their own life and their own burdens, and me even venting or reaching out is going to feel like even more of a burden to what they're already dealing with, So then you try to just keep it in.
Absolutely. So this can all cause loss of self-identity and a tendency to conform to societal expectations. And I couldn't help but think of the trad wife, the traditional wife, that person who whispers as she who cooks that one.
Yeah.
Making a chocolate chip cookies or whatever. I don't know if that she fits into that mold, but that's sort of that image I get in my head.
Yeah, no, I don't think she would. I think just her aesthetic and the way she does her videos is that, But she seems like a strong woman.
Oh, okay. Right on. So overcoming good girling, recognizing patterns of self-suppression is the first step, like realizing, oh, I'm doing this. Like for your girlfriend, Noah, it'd be like, yeah, I realized I did this. And, especially you're young. How are you just for how young are you? Noah?
Well, how young do you think I am?
Oh, like I think you're 22.
Right on.
Right on. So, and you can ask how young I am too. But
I don't want to.
Okay, good. It's not as young. So she was, in the beginning when you're young, you go through these things. This is all part of your growth. I doubt she'll always have this particular trait. She might have it to an extent, but not as strongly, because that's what happens to us. We grow and change with age. And that's really one of the more wonderful things about maturing.
And sometimes life toughens you up.
Life does. Life knocks you around. So healing requires self-acceptance and breaking free of the limiting beliefs. Annalee Howling recommends treating the trauma, which I'm 100% behind. Like don't just tell yourself how to act. Like really deal with this trauma and learn to forgive yourself, because I think a lot of people hold on to this shame because they think they are somehow culpable, that they are somehow indicated in what they're doing. Also, I always include when I do this kind of thing is to do assertiveness training, again, to go back to why you want it, what you want, and to be respectful of the other person, and to get in touch with your values, your North Star. What's going to lead you in life, your preferences, the kind of woman you want to be or man you want to be. Operating with authenticity and genuineness. And this person's not going to have instant authenticity. They're not going to instantly go, this is exactly how I am. They might have to do some self-discovery. And that would be part of the process. So what do we think today? Too nice, not nice enough, or just right?
About what? About ourselves?
About ourselves.
Oh, I think I'm just right. I wouldn't.
Oh.
I'm serious. I like to have a backbone, because this world is full of stupid ass people that sometimes deserve to get to stand your ground. And sometimes you have to stand your ground for other people. That's true. And that is a very traditionally gentlemanly thing to do. I was raised with morals. And how about you, Noah? Too nice, not nice enough, or just right?
I've been too nice in the past. I've definitely been there, and I've gotten a lot better at it. I think there are times when I still find myself slipping back into old habits, but I'm better able to kind of catch myself and be like, oh, I didn't actually mean what I said there. I was just trying to be nice to that person. Let me take that back and say how I really feel. Very good. I too agree. I'm a work in progress. I think sometimes I'm too nice. Sometimes I am not nice enough, but sometimes I'm just right. But there is a quiz, and we didn't go through this quiz because there are too many questions. We have to go through all the answers and all that stuff. It would take the whole show. But there's a quiz, and I put it in our YouTube page. So if you go to www.youtube.com/Dr. Greg on this show. And the show is, Are You Too Nice? And you go, and under it, I have listed Are You Too Nice quiz. And then you can take it. It's an online quiz, and this is through Psychology Today, and it's actually a good one. I saw a lot of online quizzes, and they weren't very good, so I wouldn't put my trust in them. But this one I like. They actually based it on some personality aspects, and you can take it. I took the test, and I found out I was in a place I was very happy with, that I am not too mean, which I sometimes fear being, and I definitely wasn't too nice, but so, I kind of landed in that sweet spot, at least by my estimation. So if you're a person that is too nice, what would you recommend to them when they find out, like, oh,
I am too nice. Like, what do I do to change this?
Well, you want to go back and kind of look at the reasons why. Self-compassion, we all do things for good reasons. So being too nice is usually rooted in something, and it's a behavior that's worked for them in the past. So to change that behavior, they have to start to look at how to be more assertive in situations and to assert their own needs, in which they need to feel more confident about themselves and asserting their own needs, but also learn how to be assertive, which a lot of people aren't, and to be able to ask for what they want, to be able to accept a no, and to be able to stand conflict, to be able to be okay when someone doesn't like us.
Yeah. And I feel like we're all adults. I hope whoever's listening, we're adults and we can make our own choices.
Some of us are adults but act like children. And so, I hope that anyone listening is on the road to being a better adult.
Or a better you.
A better you, yeah. That wraps up the show for today. I want you to remind to like, subscribe, give us 5 stars. We have to do this at the beginning. I don't know why I say it at the end. Also, if you have any topics or questions, hit us up on social media at Ask Dr. Greg. This is Dr. Greg, Brian, and Noah. Bye, bidding you farewell. Until next time, be present, be flexible, and be kind.